So today we're going to be applying some pre-bonded extensions to the model's hair. I'm going to show you a lot of hints and tips. I've been educating extensions for many years. So it's all the little secrets I want to share with you of creating the beautiful hairstyle. So the first thing we're going to be doing is pre-cutting the hair. So we're going to be using a cutting technique to make sure that all of these little dead ends are removed from the hair before we apply the extensions. There's nothing worse than hair that's got some split ends running through it and then healthy looking extensions. So you need it to blend and to look really natural. Okay, so the first thing you need to do, make sure the hair is clean. The hair has been washed by myself, not by the clients first, so I made sure that I've just used a clarifying shampoo. So the hair is clean, naturally blow dried. There's been no straightening applied onto the hair because we don't want to flatten the cuticles for the bonds to then wrap around. The second thing as well with the pre-cutting, and pre-cutting it to make sure these split ends are gone, just using a cutting technique, I'm holding the hair between my hands, resting my scissors on my fingers, and I'm just gliding it and making sure that I'm removing any kind of split ends coming through the hair. Tiny amounts of hair, it's like hair dust coming off. Okay, pre-application, so plan where you're going to put your hair extensions. Today we're doing a lengthening application, so there's different procedures that we use for different kind of looks. One tip I would say, there's nothing worse than people tying their hair up and you can see the bonds going through the hair. So what I always say to start off, if I pull the hair to one side, if I show you this, if I place a comb in the hair, if you can see the comb, then you'll see the extensions. So just keep working back to get your guideline before you start. Do this around all of the hair, including the top, the sides and the nape of the neck. Okay, so I've taken my section, making sure it's really neat and clean as well. So the cleaner you work, the quicker it is to do. So many people have said to me in the past that I haven't got time to do pre-bonded. If you work neat and clean, this procedure is probably going to take me about 2 hours, but for such an amazing effect, it's much quicker if you keep your sections clean. The other thing as well, we've left enough hair so we can't see the bonds when she ties her hair up. And also I'm going to twist the hair downwards first, then bring it back up on itself to secure with the clip. This gives a really good cushioning for your section clips to be applied when you put the protector discs in. Always use a protector disc, so this will protect the client's hair with the heat as well, but it also makes your sections again really neat and clean. I'm going to be working in a small triangular section. If you work in triangles, it means the extension can move freely and swing back and forth. The other thing as well, I'm making sure that they're approximately about a centimetre away from the roots. This means it's more comfortable for the clients to wear. If they're applied directly to the roots, it's really uncomfortable for the client and it puts too much pressure on the hair as well. So you can see I've applied the protector disc. I've got a nice clean section, and then I'm just going to use the bond. So I'm holding it between my fingers, a little bit of distance so it's easier to work with. I'm just picking up the natural hair, resting it in between the bond, and then I'm using the heat tool to warm it up. I wouldn't say there's any timing with this. You have to wait and look to see that the bond is visually bubbling before you tap. So I can see this is bubbling. Just going to tap it twice, remove the heat, and then I'm just going to roll it with my fingers. You need to make sure it's a nice round, comfortable bond for the clients. Once this is done, I'm going to apply more heat to the top to make sure it's sealed correctly. If we don't do this, then water and products will get in and the extensions will come out. So I'm applying the heat to the top, and then just rolling it into the hair and just blending it in. I'm also doing this to the bottom as well. What this does, kind of changes the bond from a tube shape to a rice shape. So this is how you make sure that they're nice and secure into the hair and comfortable for the clients as well. Okay, so I've done my first section. In this row, I've just done them directly next to each other. So this would be a solid row of extensions. This is going to give the bulk and the thickness of the hairstyle. I always say with hair extensions, less is more. So the least amount you use in the correct procedure, the more natural it looks going through the hair. When it comes to the sides, because we don't want to see the extensions, you can also trim the bonds. So I always make sure when the bonds come out of the packaging that I cut them so they're smaller. So I'm just going to take the tops off them. So then we've got a smaller bond, so again it's less visual. The other thing as well, I'm just going to cut the bonds in half down the middle, and then I've just created a smaller bond this way, so when it comes to the outsides they're less visual as well. Okay, so I've taken my next section, I've left some natural hair out in between. By doing this it makes the hair extensions and the client's natural hair blend together a lot easier. Always make sure you use a brush as well. So I've applied the extensions and I can brush this through, so my client knows when she leaves here she can brush her hair. Never use any combs, because if you use a comb it can get caught in the extensions and it can be uncomfortable for the clients. Okay, so I've applied 3 solid rows of the hair extensions, and now as I'm working up through the hair I'm starting to leave gaps in between the extensions. So we've got gaps in between the rows and then also in between the extensions. So this makes the hair blend nicer, so the two incorporate together. Okay, so I've used the planning and placements that I want to use for this application. And then this is my last row at the crown area here. So we're leaving enough room to disguise the extensions, and also these are the smaller ones. So I've just cut them in half so they're more of a micro extension. So when you drop the hair, you can brush the hair through and then you can't see any of the extensions coming through. Okay, so we've applied all of the extensions in the format that I wanted to use. It's taken about 2 hours and I've applied approximately about 150 bonds. So before I cut the hair, what I'm going to do is spray the hair down first, and then I'm just going to use my large brush and my blow dryer. What this does is make sure that the hairstyles are incorporated together. So I'm making sure that the natural hair and the extension hair have been blow dried together first before cutting the hair. Okay, so for me one of the most crucial parts when you're applying hair extensions is the blending of it with the cut-in. So whenever you're cutting the hair extensions, always cut them on dry hair, and always make sure that you deep point cut. So if you're getting rid of any excessive length, making sure when you're holding it down that you always deep point cut into it. Never blunt cut the ends. If you blunt cut them, they look really fake. So the more cutting that you do with extensions and the more layering, the more natural it looks. When it comes to the front, if I want to blend the graduation in through the front, I'm just going to turn you slightly. Always make sure your hands are held low. So when I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure I'm low. So I'm not elevating the hair in any way, and I'm just opening the scissors and just walking down the hair. If you want to apply layers into the hair, do exactly the same technique. So you can come through the hair, take a section, again making sure your hands are held low. So you do this, held low, and then just walking it down the hair again. Never elevate it to cut layers, because what you'll do is just take length away straight away. Okay, so I've cut the hair. It looks beautiful like this, just leaving it straight, but we just want to put a bit more movement through it. So I'm going to use the larger of the Cloud9 wands, and again, medium heat setting. This doesn't need an excessive amount of heat. So I'm going to heat it, starting from the top. I'm going to pin to cool, and then release the curls, and then we've got more volume through the hair as well. So I've used the Cloud9 wand. I've just applied the heat to the hair, only on a medium heat, and just roughly picking up sections so it looks more natural. Pinning them to cool, so I'm just going to leave this cool down for a minute or two, and then we've got that volume straight away. So it's a very quick way of achieving the volume at the finishing of the hairstyle. I've also applied 4 different shades of hair extensions through the hair today. This makes it look more natural. It gives the client a chance as well to change the colour of her hair, as well as having more length and more volume. So I'm going to release the pins and then we can see the finished result.
Let me see.
we've got the finished results. So Claire's hair's looking amazing with all these new colours going through it. She's got more volume through the hair. The blow dries that will last longer because the hair extensions will work this way. And she just looks amazing. So thank you so much, Claire. If you like what you see, click on the link. If you've got any questions about what products I've used today, feel free to message me. And thanks again for watching.